Coming up on the Lunchtime News, we're live at the Shropshire mansion where police have found a third body.
We'll have the latest from America as more than 1 million people have fled tropical storm Gustav. And
described as dangerous, Dame Helen Mirren's controversial comments on date rape.
Those stories and more after the break.
This is ITV and now Monday's Lunchtime News.
Specialist search teams have discovered a third body in the main part of Osbaston House. Experts found what they believe to be further human remains early yesterday evening.
Now 3 bodies and a gun. But did the inferno destroy any hope of finding why they died?
As the remains of the third body are found in the missing millionaire's mansion, the police said the post-mortems would take days, if not weeks.
The task of discovering just what happened that night and why may take even longer and may never be resolved. We're live with the latest. Also this lunchtime.
Prepared for the worst, but Hurricane Gustav is heading for a ghost town.
Crime wave. Ministers warn theft and racism will rise as the economy slides into recession.
Cervical cancer jabs begin for schoolgirls, but what about the boys who carry the virus?
And causing a storm, Dame Helen Mirren's youthful memories of sex and drugs. Good afternoon and welcome to Monday's Lunchtime News. The burnt-out shell of missing millionaire Christopher Foster's mansion has yielded up a third body. But the whys and wherefores of that terrible night remain buried in a mass of ash and singed rubble.
It is too early to say if the remains are those of 15-year-old Kirsty Foster. But with one body already identified as that of her mother Jill and a second that of a man, it looks likely that she too died there.
Detectives say it'll take hours just to remove the human remains, and post-mortems will take days, if not weeks.
All police do know so far is that Kirsty's mother was shot in the head before the fire was started in the early hours of Tuesday morning. They hope those post-mortem examination results will tell them who the others are and how they died.
But why? Debts, business vendettas and despair have all been mentioned. But so far the police just don't know. They may never find out. Our reporter Rohit Kachru has been following all the twists and turns of this macabre story, and he joins us live from Osbaston House in Shropshire. Rohit.
Well, Alistair, as you've indicated, there are many theories surrounding this case. There are far fewer facts. What we do know is that there are 2 members of the Foster family still officially missing, and this lunchtime there are 2 bodies pulled from their home which are still unidentified. It appears the mystery of Osbaston House is perhaps nearing a conclusion. Here, under one of the forensics tents, is the site where 2 bodies were discovered late on Friday. Close by, under another tent, is the spot where a third set of human remains were found.
Experts found what they believe to be further human remains early yesterday evening. A Home Office pathologist attended the scene and confirmed the remains were human late last night.
Police do not yet know whether the remains are those of Kirsty Foster, the 15-year-old girl whose internet conversation with friends was abruptly cut short hours before the fire broke out. But detectives have confirmed that one of the bodies discovered on Friday is that of Gillian Foster, and that the body found inches away from her was that of a man. What isn't clear is whether that man is her husband, Christopher Foster, the millionaire businessman whose massive debts and financial failures now form such a crucial part of this investigation. And so detectives are still trying to establish the identities of 2 bodies found here and whether they are the missing members of the Foster family. Whether there is a killer on the run, or perhaps if Christopher Foster took the lives of his family and himself. And if that is the case, the precise sequence of the events of Tuesday morning may never be known.
So a while then, Rohit, for the bodies to yield any concrete information, but what else do the police actually know?
Well, what they've said is that they've discovered a .22 rifle. It was found just inches away from the body of Gillian Foster. Now, on closer examination, what they discovered was that that rifle was registered to Christopher Foster. It was owned by him quite legitimately. They do not know whether it was fired by him. The 3 horses and the family's 4 dogs were also shot dead. And, of course, Gillian Foster was killed by a gunshot wound to the back of her head. That all points to a shooting spree. And this lunchtime, what the police have revealed is that none of the Fosters' vehicles are missing from here. There is no evident sign of some sort of getaway from here. Trying to discover the identity of the 2 bodies recovered from here may take some days or even weeks, and discovering what happened here could take even longer.
Rohit, thank you.
Hurricane Gustav is as lunchtime hurtling towards the Gulf Coast of the United States, threatening to devastate everything in its path. And with memories of Katrina fresh in their minds, 2 million people have fled Louisiana and New Orleans.
Well, we can take a look at the live shot now of the scene in New Orleans through the rain that's been pelting down these early hours already and the winds that have been building up. It is, as the mayor asked, pretty well a deserted city from the French Quarter across to the business centre. Very, very few people indeed are left. You can see the wind there shaking the trees and the awnings of those buildings from our camera. These pictures are live in New Orleans right now.
Chris Rogers reports on the hurricane, which has already killed in the Caribbean.
The rain and gusts of wind is enough to prove Hurricane Gustav is coming. The streets of New Orleans are empty, its jazz bars silent and hotels deserted. America has staged its largest evacuation away from the path of what could be the storm of the century.
We still have a Category 3 storm, 115-mile-per-hour sustained winds. It is much closer now to New Orleans, now just 170 miles away.
The edge of Gustav reaches New Orleans almost exactly 3 years after Hurricane Katrina took 1,600 lives. Memories of the devastation and the government's slow response are still raw. Both residents and politicians are not taking any chances this time. Authorities transported 30,000 elderly, disabled or poor residents to shelters. Nearly 2 million more fled by car and plane. Presidential politics has taken a backseat. George Bush abandoned the Republican National Convention and headed to emergency centers in Texas. Republican presidential candidate John McCain has drastically scaled back the nomination convention.
We will do everything America needs to do and can do and must do and will do, because that's the nature of our nation, to help.
But there is little harmony among some Americans prepared to sit out the storm.
They feel like they better have a gun because they know what happened last time. So yeah, people are planning on defending themselves this time.
And this is the devastation America is bracing itself for. Gustav's 140-mile-per-hour winds crippled much of Cuba. In the next few hours, it will collide with the southern United States. Chris Rogers, ITV News.
Well, hot foot from the newsroom, clutching reams of paper and lots of ink. Lawrence McGinty, our science editor, what is the latest?
Well, the latest prediction is that it will hit New Orleans about 7 o'clock tonight, our time. It's currently Category 3, which is the same as Katrina was 3 years ago. It could pick up more energy from the ocean and be worse than that. It might decrease. We just don't know yet. The interesting thing is that because of the geography of the area, New Orleans is damaged more than you might expect. Yeah. And that's because in the northern hemisphere, hurricanes go that way round, counterclockwise. And the wind on both sides would be equal if it just stood in one place. But it's not, it's moving, it's going forward. And so on the side in which it's going forward, the wind speeds are higher. And that's the side that New Orleans will get hit on.
So that big yellow arc that we're seeing there, that's the bit that's really going to, like a forearm smash.
Indeed, yeah. Precisely, just like that, yeah.
And what about the question of what's causing it, what's to blame? Is it global warming?
The jury is still out, but the evidence is really getting quite conclusive. Up to the 90s, there were about 5 hurricanes a year in this area. Since then, there have been 8. In the 80s, about 1 in 5 was in the highest categories, the fiercest hurricanes. Now, it's 2 in 5. So it's not proven, but it's looking very likely.
All right, Lawrence, thank you very much indeed.
OK, well, let's go live now to our senior correspondent, James Mates, who joins us from New Orleans now. James, we've just seen the most recent pictures. What can you tell us about what's the latest?
Nina, this is as bad as I would ever want to be out in. In fact, to tell you the honest truth, if I wasn't being paid to be out here now, I wouldn't be anywhere near it. It is quite terrifying wind. And what is more extraordinary is that the main force of Hurricane Gustav is still several hours away. It is going to get much, much worse than this. You can see why a mandatory evacuation was put in place. There is going to be 15 inches of rain. There are going to be winds of 115, 120 miles an hour. And what they really don't know yet is whether the levees are going to hold. That's what's going to decide the fate of this city. And that's why, even if it's not the storm of the century, as the mayor predicted, that is why they had to get everybody out, because if the levees don't hold, water from the Gulf of Mexico will come pouring into this place.
James Mates in New Orleans, stay safe and thank you very much for that. And you can track Gustav's progress via our website at itv.com/news. We'll have all the latest pictures and reports from our correspondents who, as you've seen, are out there as it threatens to break.
Back here, a leaked Home Office memo has suggested that the economic downturn could lead to a rise in crime. Now, ministers were swift to point out that the document is a draft letter from the Home Secretary Jackie Smith to Downing Street, describing how more and more people falling into poverty could turn to burglary and theft.
It also warns that financial difficulties could fuel resentment towards ethnic minorities, forcing them to join extremist Islamic groups, which could lead to more terrorism. Our UK editor Angus Walker has the story.
The draft letter analyses the possible effects of a severe recession on crime and includes, for example, a predicted 7% rise this year in property crime, mainly burglaries.
They predict higher crime, particularly property crime. They say that there'll be pressure on police budgets, so we'll probably have fewer police on the streets. And they say that there'll be more smuggling and more illegal immigration. So across the board, things are going to get worse for the Home Office in the months and years ahead.
Burglars, like this one caught on a hidden camera, almost go out of business when the economy booms. After all, with electronic goods cheap and employment high, the market for cheaper, stolen property falls. Recent figures suggest burglary has fallen almost 60% since the mid-90s, the tail end of the last severe recession. So government ministers today emphasise that there would have to be a virtual economic collapse for a massive rise in crime to follow.
You'd have thought that a responsible opposition would have said, well, at least the government is thinking ahead and actually trying to take full account of any sort of circumstances that may prevail over the next couple of years, rather than this sort of childish nonsense about letting the cat out the bag and, oh, what are they going to do, how's it, it's all terrible, which is not very helpful, very juvenile, but very consistent from the opposition.
But the letter does point out that the cost of policing will rise during tougher economic times, when the government would be receiving less in taxes. The prediction in this leaked letter that crime will rise during an economic downturn shouldn't surprise anyone. But the opposition is expecting that it will underline a sense of political doom and gloom that is also certainly linked to the economy. Angus Walker, ITV News at the Home Office.
A beleaguered Gordon Brown is in Brussels today for an emergency meeting of EU ministers to talk about the crisis in Georgia.
He'll be hoping attention stays on ways to tackle the threat of a new Cold War rather than his political woes at home. Our political correspondent Libby Wiener is there. Just when they said it couldn't get any worse, it did.
Yes, indeed. It certainly is very embarrassing for the Prime Minister. Over the weekend, his Chancellor Alistair Darling suggesting that we're heading for the worst recession in 60 years. Now his Home Secretary painting a doomsday scenario that if the economy gets much worse, we could see rising crime and an increase in racial tensions. This really isn't going according to the script. For months now, Gordon Brown himself has been saying that he believes the fundamentals of the British economy are sound, that we are actually better placed than any economy around the world to weather the current global storm, if you like. And so these sort of predictions from his close cabinet colleagues, I think they underline the sense of a government very much in crisis.
And that that EU meeting that you're attending, I mean, Gordon Brown preempted it with a fierce article in the Sunday newspapers talking about sanctions against Russia and this, that and the other. But is there actually anything the EU or he can do about it?
Well, as we speak, Alistair, the Prime Minister and his Foreign Secretary, David Miliband, are meeting the Georgian Prime Minister here, I think in a very clear show of support for the Georgians. As you say, Gordon Brown has taken a very tough line on this, but the fact is there are serious reservations among other European powers, notably France and Germany, who do believe that it's very limited what the EU can do. For his part, Prime Minister Putin has made clear that words alone really don't count for very much, being photographed today apparently shooting a tigress with a sleeping dart. We're told that he was trying to intervene to save some journalists, but I think I'll have to leave it up to you whether you find that a credible story or not.
A bit worried about the symbolism of it all. Libby, thank you very much indeed. Libby Vina live in Brussels. And still to come on the Lunchtime News, an injection to fight cancer. Why schoolgirls across the UK are being vaccinated as young as 12.
And courting controversy, how Dame Helen Mirren provoked an angry reaction over comments about date rape. But first, there was no motive for Daniel Quelch's murder. He was stabbed 82 times by a mentally ill killer in a frenzied attack witnessed by his young children.
His murderer, Benjamin Frankham, had been in and out of psychiatric hospitals and hadn't taken his medication when he killed. Well, today a jury decided that he did indeed kill the father of three.
Damon Green is at Reading Crown Court. What more can you tell us about what happened in court, Damon?
Well, the jury were out for less than an hour here at Reading Crown Court. They came back with their verdict very, very promptly just before lunch. This wasn't a murder trial as such as you'd see elsewhere. It's very peculiar in the sense that they weren't being asked to decide whether Benjamin Frankham was guilty of murder, just whether or not he killed Danny Quelch. And they decided that the man who was found clad only in boxer shorts and covered in Danny Quelch's blood did actually do it. When they came back with their verdict, Danny's parents, his mother Barbara, his father Ernest, broke down, hugged each other, clasped each other with relief because they were fearing, obviously, that this man might walk away from here today. They issued statements immediately which were read into court. Ernest Quelch said that he feels guilty still, that it should have been him who was killed because Danny was killed while sleeping in his bed. Danny's mother, Barbara, says that she still has nightmares about it. Occasionally she feels she wants to take an overdose of sleeping pills just to escape the pain.
Damon, many people want to know why Benjamin Frankham wasn't in hospital or in secure accommodation.
Well, there's bound to be a public inquiry into this. The background here is although that Benjamin Frankham has never been violent before, he was diagnosed paranoid schizophrenic at the age of 19 and has spent almost all of his adult life in secure accommodation. Just 7 weeks he was released, and that 7 weeks was enough for him to take the life of an innocent man and destroy the lives of that man's 3 children.
Damon Green, many thanks.
From today, all 12 and 13-year-old girls are to be vaccinated against cervical cancer. Schoolgirls in Scotland are the first to get the jabs.
The vaccine works by targeting the virus which causes cervical cancer, and if successful, it should prevent 70% of cases. Our reporter Kellyanne Bishop went to one school in Lanarkshire where the girls were being vaccinated today.
Well, this secondary school in Cumbernauld, just outside Glasgow, is one of the first schools in the country to start these vaccinations. And the reason it's starting in Scotland first is because the schools here started back last month. Well, all morning, the girls here have been waiting anxiously for their jabs. But let's have a chat now to the man who's behind this immunisation programme, Dr. David Cromie. Tell me, how does this vaccine work?
The vaccine works by protecting against a virus called human papillomavirus. There are 2 strains which cause the cancer which the vaccine protects against. They cause 70% of cervical cancer, so giving the vaccine to these girls will reduce the amount of cancers and deaths from cancers by that amount.
So it will save many lives?
It will. Across Scotland there are 300 cases of cervical cancer a year and 100 deaths. It will reduce it by 150 cases of cancer and also reduce it by 50 deaths.
Well, the vaccine doesn't offer full protection against the cancer, but let's have a chat now to some of the girls who had the jab this morning. Let's start with you. How did it go?
It was okay, it was a bit sore, but it was worth it if it cuts down your chance of getting the cancer, so it's definitely worth it.
OK, and what about you? Was it quite important that you got the jab?
I think it's really important because it protects against the two types that cause the most cases of the cancer, and in the long run it'll save lives, so I think it's a really good thing.
And did you feel anxious?
Yeah, I think we were all a little bit anxious, but it worked in the end, so we were fine.
OK, well, the jab is not compulsory, but over the coming months it will be offered to all girls aged between 13 and 17. Back to you.
Kellyanne Bishop reporting there.
The Oscar-winning actress Dame Helen Mirren has sparked anger over comments that she made about date rape. In a magazine interview, she said a woman who had been date raped couldn't expect her attacker to be charged and sent for trial.
She added it's something men and women should work out for themselves. The Solicitor General, Vera Baird, called the comments dangerous at a time when rape victims are being encouraged to come forward. Sue Saville reports.
Revered, admired, Oscar-winning actress Dame Helen Mirren is something of a role model for women, yet now mired in controversy over her comments in an interview about date rape, suggesting there are occasions when the man should not be prosecuted. She was asked if she had ever been the victim of such an assault, and she replied, "I was, yes, a couple of times, not with excessive violence or being hit, but rather being locked in a room and made to have sex against my will." When asked if she reported it, she replied, "No, you just couldn't do that in those days. It's such a tricky area, isn't it? Especially if there's no violence." But critics are outraged.
Good morning, you've reached our confidential sexual violence legal advice line. How can I help?
At the Rights of Women national phone line, there's concern about Dame Helen's message.
And we think it's very disappointing that someone who's held so highly in public esteem, particularly by women, would make comments like these. Her views certainly do seem to be a little confused, but the law isn't confused. The law is crystal clear. The Sexual Offences Act 2003 states that sexual intercourse without a woman's consent is rape, and that's a very serious criminal offence. All women should feel safe and free from sexual violence. All women have the right to report sexual violence to the police.
Dame Helen's comments were condemned as dangerous by the Solicitor General, who said rape victims must report such crimes. Sue Saville, ITV News.
A reminder of our main stories. A third body has been found at Christopher Foster's burnt-out mansion in Shropshire. The police can't yet tell if it's his daughter Kirsty.
Storms are already battering New Orleans as the city, although half empty, prepares for Hurricane Gustav.
And here, ministers fear that the credit crunch could lead to a rise in crime, according to a leaked memo.
And that's all from the Lunchtime News team.
News Where You Are is next after the national weather, but from us, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Your courtesy car will be with you this afternoon. Thanks for calling eShore. Bye.
ITV National Weather, sponsored by eShore.
Hello, good afternoon. Lots of sunshine for many of us this morning, but cloud and rain for others. You can see the cloud and rain very clearly on the satellite picture. It's a weather front, starts off in the northwest, fizzles out into a big hole over northwest England, and then comes back to life in the southwest. And as we go through the afternoon, we'll end up with two patches of rather more persistent rain, one in the far northeast of Scotland, another up across the southwest, Wales, and in towards the Midlands, showery outbreaks there. Away from those thicker patches of cloud and heavier bursts of rain, it's not too bad a day, sunny spells and scattered showers, but feeling fairly fresh for most of us. The warm air that some had over the weekend is long gone. Temperatures typically around 18 or 19. Tonight, the more general rain gets into the southeast. The north and west, long clear spells and a chilly autumn night.
ITV National Weather, sponsored by eShore.
7-year-old Gerson lives with his family in a house built from stones, mud and sticks. Their crowded living conditions means that he has breathing problems, and his twin sister suffers from worms, which leave her badly malnourished. No child should have to live like this. But for thousands of children like Gerson, World Vision Child Sponsorship offers a way out of poverty.
To actually think that you are improving someone's life makes me feel very proud. It's giving something back.
Thanks to child sponsors here in the UK, children get proper health care and live in safe housing. You can sponsor a child for just 60p a day, but what you feel in return is priceless.
It's so little that I give, but it means such a huge amount to those people that have nothing.
What will you feel when you sponsor a child with World Vision? Call now on 0800 50 1010. That's 0800 50 1010. Or visit sponsor.org.
I think Sky Plus gives you complete control over what you want to watch when you want to watch it.
Get Sky Plus and Sky TV with free broadband and calls from just £17 per month. At the touch of a button, record a single programme or a whole series automatically to create your own collection of favourites to watch when you want. And if interrupted, just pause and rewind live TV. That's Sky Plus with free setup for new customers, Sky TV, broadband and calls from £17 per month.
It makes my life so much easier.
Love Sky Plus too, or your money back. Call 08442 411 253. Sky.
Yeah, that's great for your first day. Now, see all the bread with today's date? Could you mark it down to half price?
Dad, can you help me with my homework again?
What are you stuck on now?
The sums.
Look, I don't really have time for this just now.
1 in 5 adults in Scotland needs help with reading, writing or numbers. With the Big Plus, you can brush up on your words or numbers. It's relaxed, free and could take as little as a couple of hours a week.
To arrange a chat, call free on 0808 100 1080 or visit thebigplus.com.
LV loves saving you loads of money on your car insurance. And our no-claims discount can reach a whopping 75% off. Now you can protect that massive saving for life. So when stuff like this happens, oh dear, we'll just kiss your car better. Call one of our lovely people on 0800 127 127 or go to lv.com.
In the time it takes to run this commercial, you could call Optical Express and we could help you transform your life. From only £395 per eye, you could enjoy laser vision correction from one of the leading eye care specialists in Europe. Our expert ophthalmic surgeons have a combined experience of over 500,000 procedures. For your free information pack or to arrange a free consultation, call Optical Express. Laser vision correction from only £395 per eye. Call 08702 20 20 20 now.
At the heart of Hellmann's real mayonnaise are oil, vinegar and free-range eggs, because we believe it's better that way.